Habari ya asubuhi. Welcome to Family Matters Financial Clinic this Wednesday, and we are here discussing a very important, emotive kind of, topic, and definitely it concerns you in one way or the other. And this is about taxes, the offenses, the penalties. How do you file for your taxes? How do taxes affect small businesses, and much more? Even as an entrepreneur, as someone who's employed in formal or informal sector, how does paying of taxes affect you and I? And so today I'm joined by an amazing panel. The authority is here to tell us much more about, taxes. And I also have an entrepreneur who's going to give us her experience on taxes. So join me on this conversation on SMS number 20316. WhatsApp number is 0786316316. And let us just have fun today as we learn about taxes. Your comments, questions are welcome. Welcome to studio, Mr. Karanu you'll introduce yourself, from KRA, and Liz, the entrepreneur and financial coach. We'll start with you, sir.
Thank you, Sally, and welcome to our viewers. Very happy to be here with you today. My name is Karanu Mushiri from the Kenya Revenue Authority, Domestic Taxes Department.
Lovely.
And I'm here to engage with you
Karibu sana. You're welcome. Yeah. Liz.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Elizabeth Waidaka. I am a personal finance specialist, an entrepreneur. Okay. Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Okay. We go straight to the topic of the day.
Yeah,
taxes.
Sure.
This is a conversation that our country has been having.
Yeah.
We are having, and we need to have it. It needs to be continuous. Absolutely. So probably, Mr. Khan, just tell us about what really what a tax is all about. What is tax?
And that's a good place to start from. What a tax is all about. And it's critical to understand the purpose and the function that they serve, because taxes afford us an orderly way of life.
Okay.
Because when you look at governments must do very many things for you, but most critically, a government must fulfill three functions for you. Number one, it must provide an environment for economic opportunity, which is why we're having the audience listening in.
Yes.
We must also provide public goods for you, and we must provide a societal order, in the sense of how we organize our administration.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're thinking of an economic opportunity, this is your ability to conduct business within the Republic of Kenya, in any region. So that whether you are in the north, the south, the east, the west, you have the freedom to conduct business. And there are government agencies which have been set up to ensure that you are able to set up the business that you prefer, earn your money, spend your money, and pay and contribute to our nation building.
Wow. That's
what government must do. It must also provide the environment in terms of public goods. That's your roads, your electricity, your water, provide public health, provide education. These are the public goods that must be available to every citizen of Kenya.
Okay.
And when we speak about societal order, is how we've organized ourselves into the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive.
Okay.
Because if all of us decided we want to be president of this nation, then it would not be governable. If we decided that the homes that we come from, we all want to be the area MP, you can't have 50 area MPs. Yeah. If you decide that you shall dispense your own measure of justice, then what is the point of judiciary? Because then we shall be a law unto ourselves. So we must have representative government.
Okay.
Now, all of these three things, an environment of economic opportunity, provision of public goods, and the structure of how we've chosen to administer and administrate ourselves as Kenyans, they are all funded by your taxes. So that's what taxes do for you, providing an orderly way of life.
Okay, what an elaborate opener. Wow. Okay. And so you've talked much about, the infrastructure, the setting up of businesses, and here we are with you, Liz. You are the entrepreneur. Do you feel, first and foremost, how long have you been in business?
I started my own business in 2016.
Okay.
So I've been there for quite a while.
Yeah. Yes, almost 8 years.
Yeah.
What kind of business do you do?
I'm a consultant in personal finance. I do training. I help people put order in their money. That is what I do. Okay. Yes, I'm a consultant in that space, an entrepreneur, yes.
Okay. Mr. We've talked about you know, the taxes helping you set up your business, you know, all those things that we've talked about, that he's talked about. Do you think or feel when you pay your taxes, you get value for your money?
Well, many times, and I don't know whether I'm speaking for many other entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and I can confirm here that that space of entrepreneurship is an uphill task.
Okay.
So many times we feel like we are paying the taxes, and we, as much as we can see the loads, and of course, especially in the recent past, we have seen a lot of improvement in the infrastructure,
right,
and the services the government provides. We still feel like would benefit with more. Much more. Like the taxes we pay would be more beneficial to us as entrepreneurs. Okay. Like the infrastructures would be more improved. Okay. We are not disputing the fact that what we are seeing is as a result of our taxes. Okay. Yes, yeah. So, Mr. Karani, what are some of the taxes that, you know, are there from the authority? What are some of the taxes that probably even impact an entrepreneur like her directly?
So when you look at taxes, particularly domestic taxes, because we have customs and we have domestics. Right. So allow me to speak to the domestic traders. Yeah. We normally administer 4 acts as Kenya Revenue Authority, domestic taxes. That is the Excise Duty Act of 2015, the Tax Procedures Act of 2015, Income Tax Act Cap 470, and the VAT Act of 2013. Okay. So the taxes that are prescribed within those 4 acts are the ones that we administer. Largely put, income taxes, value-added tax, and excise duty. Those are the taxes that a majority of taxpayers encounter as they continue with their businesses domestically. Okay, they're the most popular. They are the most, they're the most popular,
isn't it? Okay. Yeah. So Liz, here you are as an entrepreneur, and you say you pay your taxes. How? Probably you could take us through the process of you filing for the taxes and probably the challenges maybe you may have experienced.
The process of filing, and as he mentioned, the different categories. I'm thinking as he's talking, and I'm thinking I've paid almost every category as they apply to me. And I don't know what do we call this? Withholding. I don't know where withholding falls in.
Yeah, we're going to guess, yes.
And for me as a consultant, that one comes directly, the withholding tax. Yes. The process of filing is what you have asked. And I think would do with more empowerment, and especially as a personal finance specialist, not even speaking for me, speaking for the other people I meet, and part of the personal finance conversation is the tax. Okay. Actually, one of the things we check, are you compliant? For us to say that your personal finances are in order. Tax compliance is one of them. But for me, my experience as a person in terms of filing, and especially with the technology, and maybe my area is finance, so I know a bit of
you're more informed
the tax procedures. Right. But I meet other professionals who are also in the entrepreneur space, the engineers, the doctors who are not in the finance field, and filing does not come as automatically for them to be able to look at the different categories of their incomes and know this is how I'm supposed to compute my incomes and file my taxes like this. It is only direct for employees when we are doing pay as you earn, because now that one is structured, is done by somebody else. But for the business people, we require more empowerment for sure. Okay, all right. In terms of filing.
Yeah, and probably I would want to bring you in, Mr. Karami, in terms of what is the process like, just for a lay person or, you know, and common, normal mwananchi listening and watching us this morning. What, you know, how is the process like?
So to start off, allow me to respond to the issue of withholding. Sure. So withholding taxes can either be on value-added tax or on income tax. And where value-added tax is concerned, as the current prescribed rate is 2%. And it's normally done by an appointed agent. Okay. So for you to be a withholding VAT agent, you must be appointed by the tax authority. Where income tax is concerned, a majority of traders can withhold on behalf of another supplier or customer that they have. This is a compliance mechanism that has been instituted by the authority to ensure that everybody pays their fair share. So withholding is to simplify the process of tax payment and accountability to ensure that everybody within the economic system is contributing that which they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So now when we come to filing of returns, we normally look at what we call tax obligations.
Okay.
Depending on the tax obligation you have, that is what will determine how often you file and when you're supposed to file. When I say how often you file is, are you supposed to file on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, or on an annual basis?
Yeah.
And when you're supposed to file is by what date? So for example, using the VAT, VAT is supposed to be filed monthly should you have that obligation, and it's supposed to be filed on or before the 20th of the subsequent month when you traded. So right now we are in November. So for all trades that shall occur in November where VAT is concerned, the VAT trader is supposed to file on or before the 20th of December. Where income tax is concerned, and which is what you mentioned, payee, for example. Payee, for you, the employer who has the obligation, again, it's a monthly obligation. So for your employees who you're going to pay their salary for the work they've done in November, you're supposed to file an account for it on or before the 9th of December. So it's the 9th of the subsequent month.
So what happens if that doesn't happen? If
now that
the
is where
doesn't file?
Penalties,
the penalties,
start accruing.
yeah.
But the penalty is on the employer, not the employee. Because now, again, taxation, like I said, is a matter of obligation. If you as an employee, what you have is the income tax individual. Now you are supposed to file your returns in the subsequent year for a period of up to 6 months. So for example, you're earning your salary this year, 2024. We expect you to file your returns next year between January 1 and June 30th of 2025. Because we normally have something called an accounting period. And the accounting period for all individuals is December. So at the end of December, you have up to 6 months to file. So we normally see taxpayers coming in June, because that's when they remember, oh, we're supposed to file our returns. It's not June.
No.
It's not the only month. You have 6 months. So if you're watching and you're an employee, just know from January 1, you should be in a position to file your returns for 2024, if employment income is your only source.
I think that's an information that, you know, is not quite out there, you know, so I'm glad that you've pointed that out. And of course now, like you're saying, they're informed. Now we know, now we know. So at least there are all these things, there are changes, you know. How do you keep yourself up to date with, you know, what's going on in the, you're a finance person, but how do you keep yourself up to date with the changes, the regulations? Because these things keep changing every day.
Oh yes, and it is not easy. It's a big deal. And even as you talk about changes, the most recent change that affected me directly is the introduction of EIMs. Fortunately, the information is flowing, and that's technology. Technology has got a positive and a negative side. One of the positive sides is that this information is flowing mostly through technology. So for me as an entrepreneur, because I don't want issues, and I've had issues before with taxes, and it is not a cup of tea. So I always keep myself informed on what is happening. I seek for this information. I don't have a problem walking into a KRA office to make an inquiry. And I hope that other entrepreneurs do that.
I like that. So you go to the office, you make that effort.
I walk into KRA offices many times to anytime I have a problem, because I know once your taxes are not in order, as an entrepreneur, even as an employee, you know that you are in challenges. When you go to acquire maybe an asset, that is the time it will come up. It will come to the surface.
Somehow these people get hold of you. somehow.
Oh yes.
There's a question for you, Mr. Karanu, in terms of someone is asking. Here you are. You filed your returns and all that. You people have the. I mean, as I'm paying tax, you can see. So why do you still again need people to file? That is what someone is asking.
Good question.
Yeah.
Now, Kenya operates what we call a self-declaration system.
Okay.
A self-declaration system means that we, the authority, are trusting you, the taxpayer, to declare all the income you have earned and all the expenses you have incurred in the generation of that income. So as a self-declaration regime, then it is upon you to inform the authority. Even as an employee, for example, because people now may ask, why is it that as an employee, my employer has already filed? Then now, as you mentioned at the beginning, what if the employer is not filing and paying? At the point at which you file and pay, it will raise the query. So that now there is a mismatch between what the employee is saying and what the employer ought to have done. So this is a checks and balance system that's in place. Because at the end of the day, we found it prudent that more often than not, a lot of taxpayers want to comply. That's actually what we have found on the ground. A lot of Kenyans actually want to comply with their tax payment. So it is easier to allow them to account for their own income and their own expenditure. But now you must inform us of that. That's why we need you to file. And that information is captured at the point of filing.
At the point of filing. But is it also captured at the point of what you expose on social media? Is that thing true? That whatever you post, the taxman is coming for you. Is that true?
No.
No, it's not. It's just it's a meme of some sort of joke.
It's a misconception.
Really?
Because at the end of the day, you're entitled to live your own private life as you so choose. So long as you're paying your fair share of taxes, you are free to live the lifestyle you want. In fact, I may add, if there's one person that wants you to prosper, it is Kenya Revenue Authority. It is in our best interest that you prosper. Because as you prosper, KRA and the nation also prospers.
Okay, all right. I love that. Fine. I don't know, but I hope our viewers are watching, and you know, I'm requesting them to, of course, keep their comments coming and questions and all that, you know, on our number 20386 and WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Just keep on conversing, keep on talking to us, and ask your questions. The experts are here, okay? Yeah, so Liz, we have technology that, you know, of course, it's something that we cannot run away from. Digital, you know, the digital space. How do you think it plays a role in, or does it help you in any way when it comes to filing, when it comes to just making it easy for you in dealing with your taxes?
I would say yes, it makes it easier. The fact that now from the comfort of my house, I'm able to just maybe log into the KRA website. Once I've done my mathematics and I see this is the amount of money I made and these are the expenses I incurred, this is the income I made, and this is the percentage. With that information, technology makes it easier. From the comfort of my laptop, wherever I am, I'm able to file my taxes. I don't even have to go to KRA offices.
Nice.
Of course, when I'm experiencing charges, because sometimes when you are doing the additions, it is not mathing, for lack of a better word.
It's not mathing.
Yes. And so that is the time now. So I have to walk to seek assistance. But otherwise, I don't have to. Many times, I've just done it from the comfort of my house. I've applied for my tax compliance from the comfort of my office.
If you have any queries, is there a platform or provision for you to ask questions and you get response? Have you ever been?
For me, I've used there's a customer care number. As an entrepreneur, I have called it several times. There's also an email, and of course they will respond. If I need more, again I walk to a KRA.
You have to walk into the office.
But I feel the number and the email, they are responsive.
Karen, how is your digital platform like? Is it active? Is it, you know, like real time?
Absolutely. KRA has various touch points available to our taxpayers because we understand that it's not a one-shoe-size-fits-all scenario. So we have our customer care contact center, and you can call them at any time, and they shall respond to your query. Of course, we are available on social media. That's Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you can get in touch with us and we'll be able to respond. We have 54 tax service offices spread across the entire country. in the 7 regions that we have organized ourselves.
Yeah.
So at any one of the 54 tax service offices that we have available in domestic taxes, like she said, those are the offices that she's walking into. But we also have apps. Do you know you can reach us on KRA WhatsApp channel?
Okay.
And you can interact either with a member of staff or a chatbot, which will be able to answer a majority of the queries or questions you have. And for those of you who have smartphones, we also have our M-Service app.
Okay.
And it can do a majority of the functions that you want to administer for tax purposes. So in terms of making tax easy and convenient and accessible to taxpayers, that is something we keep pushing and we keep innovating continuously about. So those are the very many channels you can reach us.
And that's why I was asking about, I think we didn't touch on that, you didn't touch on that, the filing process, just briefly, so that there's someone, probably it's their first time, especially the Gen Zs, it's a first time to work, probably entrepreneurs, they don't know where to start from. How do they go about it?
So you can go to the M-Service app.
Okay.
We have simplified returns options in there.
Okay.
So you just click of a button, you can file your turnover tax or your income tax.
Okay.
You can also go to itax.kra.go.ke. Once you've logged on, once you land on your landing page, on your web page, you'll be able to navigate our system. And we try and make it as user-friendly as possible for you to file your returns.
Okay.
Because as she mentioned, from the comfort of your home, you should be able to file your tax returns. But also if you're experiencing a challenge and you need to be taken through the process of filing a return, we can do it either, as she said, visit our office, but we continuously have education sessions with our taxpayers, virtually, physically, or even barazas, because we also acknowledge that not everybody has access to smart platforms. So as a responsive authority to the needs of our taxpayers, we go down to the mashinani and we have grassroots campaigns, we have grassroots engagements to make this process of tax payment as easy and as convenient as possible for all our taxpayers.
The campaigns, are they really, do people really feel, I don't know if, I hope a viewer or a listener can just tell us if they really feel the impact of the campaigns and all that, you know. Are they there? Like,
they're there. I'm sure in the past 1 month, I'm even going to say 1 month, you've probably received an email from KRA, either wishing you a happy Taxpayers Month, we've just concluded our Taxpayers Month, or a reminder that your installment taxes is coming up, or a reminder for you to file your pay or your VAT or so on and so forth. Our objective is to ensure compliance. We don't want you incurring penalties. We don't want you incurring interest. We want you compliant. Pay what you need to pay, by when you need to pay it. And we are here to address any concern at any one given point.
Fantastic,
Yes.
fantastic. Liz, there's so many misconceptions about, you know, paying of taxes. What are some of the misconceptions probably you've had or you have yourself about paying of taxes from people and other entrepreneurs like yourself?
Well, there are so many, by the way. And paying taxes is not something that comes easily for many people, but I think it's because of what you're calling the misconceptions. Feeling like not knowing that it is an obligation, so we feel like somebody is coming for the my little money. Somebody is coming for that. It's a misconception. Lack of that finance literacy education, knowing that tax is an obligation. People thinking that it's so difficult to pay taxes. It's also another misconception. A misconception like their money is not being used well. I don't know where that comes from, but I can tell you for many people they feel like that, like their money is not being used well. Maybe it's a misconception. People thinking like taxes are for the rich. Those people who make a lot of money, or for the big businesses, yet taxes are for everyone. Those are major misconceptions. Or it's for those people who are employed. There's a misconception that tax is for those who are employed, who are getting a salary from, unlike us entrepreneurs who sometimes can go without a salary. It's a misconception that people have. Or a misconception like you can run away from it. I mean, you can hide and not pay for the taxes.
Yeah.
That's a misconception because just as I said, somehow, you'll find yourself needing the services of the government. So running away does not arise. Okay. But it's a misconception, or people think that it can happen. Like when you don't have a PIN, and I've met people like that, and I'm asking, what is your PIN number? So that we can start maybe an investment plan. We will require a PIN number, and somebody does not have. And you see, that person cannot find service. Okay. They cannot even invest, you know? So as much as there are misconceptions, we also require a lot of finance literacy education for people to understand these things. Okay. Like in the recent past, there's the creation of family trust. And actually, the government and KRA have really, I don't know, brought it closer home. Okay. And it comes with so many tax benefits. Lack of that knowledge by the people who require to consume this service, and they can benefit even tax-wise, even on the other incomes. You know, that's also something that affects many people. And with the knowledge is power. If people are more knowledgeable on these things, they would actually do better with their taxes.
And when you talk about knowledge is power, probably then you can just tell us about, you know, some of the education initiatives that KRA has to, of course, you've said, you talked about you've been sensitizing people, sending the emails. Is there something more that probably can be done just to sensitize people more on taxes?
So at the Grassroots, we normally have town halls or barazas, where we send our education officers on the ground to address the respective challenges that are being faced by a certain community or by a certain area, because we are responding to the needs that the taxpayers are giving us. So it's one-on-one in person, and it's normally very specific and targeted to that particular place. We also have tax seminars that we conduct either at our 5th floor Times Tower office in HQ or across the 54 tax service offices that we have.
For all Kenyans? For anyone interested?
Kenyans. Anybody interested. That is something that we do. So we normally organize them as often as need be, so that the taxpayer is not injured in terms of not having access to information or knowledge. We also have webinars where we do a lot of tax sensitization engagements and efforts. We have road shows, we have caravans, we have access to our website where all of this information is placed. Or like I said, you can call our customer care lines, and should you encounter any challenge or you need something to be addressed, we will do so. Or the office where I sit, stakeholder engagements, where we meet with industries, representatives, or we meet with lobby groups to address the specific concerns that a particular industry may be facing. Because we have found that at times when we engage with our taxpayers, it could be a knowledge gap issue. And so at that point, we engage them and deal with the knowledge gaps that they have. It could be an administrative issue, and therefore at that point, maybe we need to relook at how we conduct business internally and maybe how the taxpayers approach. It could be a bureaucratic challenge whereby now, although the solution may eventually lie with KRA, we need an all-of-government approach to address that specific issue. Or lastly, it could be legislative. And therefore, at that point, we need to make legislative proposals to National Treasury, which will then therefore forward to the National Assembly for consideration. Because our objective is to ensure that trade can be conducted. Ultimately, KRA wants to make the trade environment as easy as possible, because we don't have any money of our own. The money that we depend upon comes from you. So it is in our best interest to ensure that businesses are thriving, that trade is going on, that taxpayers have access to services, at least where KRA is concerned.
Awesome. Matters Financial Clinic, where we are discussing today about taxes, the offenses and penalties. And just before the break, we were discussing about the education initiatives that KRA has for you and I, just to get to understand better what it is about taxes, how you do it, how you go about it. It is not that bad, So first, before we move on to our next our next question, someone here, John Githanga, I think this is for you. Yes, KRA. It goes without saying that KRA employees have lost the trust of Kenyans everywhere. Kenyans are always skeptical about KRA and are perceived as opportunists and extortionists. Generally, they have a bad history of demanding bribes from owners of big businesses and lucrative enterprises. They were only trusted during Kibaki's first term. That's my opinion, and I believe that's the way most Kenyans perceive KRA, and that's John Githanga. For you, Karano, I mean, it's not a question, but that's what he feels, you know?
Yeah. And feedback is always good, because feedback helps you get better.
All right.
What I would say to our valued taxpayer is, number one, we do have checks and balances in place. We have an iWhistle account where should you unfortunately encounter anybody within the esteemed authority that should ask for that, in the unlikely event that you do, you can report it on the iWhistle account.
Yes.
We also have a complaints email, tic@kra.go.ke.
Okay.
And this one is accountable to the Office of the Ombudsman.
Okay.
So this is a check and balance in place. And of course, we have other government agencies such as the EACC, where you can report that.
Okay.
However, allow me to speak to what I know and what I encounter a majority of the time, and even with taxpayers. And these are the values that my colleagues have embraced.
Okay.
Because as an authority, we are an institution led by values.
Yeah.
And it's very simple. Ours is to be trustworthy in our engagement with our taxpayers.
Yeah.
We are to be ethical in our conduct. We are to be competent in the administration of these tax laws that we do, and also give you good advice. We are to be helpful at all times, because at times it could just be you need something to open your eyes or carry you over. Our approach to you should be innovative as we administer these tax laws. And most importantly, we are to be simple in how we conduct. These are the values that I see every day when I go out there with my fellow members of staff. And that's the feedback I get from at least the taxpayers that I engage. That when they engage with our members of staff, they find that these values are what are espoused. To be trustworthy, ethical, competent, helpful, innovative, and simple in their approach. That's the taxpayer I know. That's the colleague I can stand and vouch for. But there are checks and balances in place in the event, unlikely event, that you encounter something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure John has experience, and that's why he's talking about it. And you know, you responded to him from wherever he is. I'm sure he's heard you. Liz, there's this, you know, as you pay your taxes, are there deductions that you feel have been beneficial to your business as an entrepreneur?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's not always on the bad side.
No. Okay. Yeah. Of course, for me, I feel like I'm on the higher side because I'm a finance person.
Yes.
I don't know about that other entrepreneur who may not know, but there are those allowable deductions, and it's very good money, very sweet money. Yes. When you have to, you don't have to pay your taxes on your gross income. But I feel that for me, I know that the allowable expenses, I know them, and especially as an investment advisor, there is that 15% tax relief. And that many people do not know about. Like when you have taken an investment that has got a life insurance aspect of it, there is a 15% tax relief. Very, very beneficial. And I've benefited with that directly. You have
benefited from that. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So that encourages other people. You're encouraging them to also, entrepreneurs to...
Yeah, to be able to invest, it will reduce their tax burden in a legal way, and then also get knowledgeable. Like when you do staff welfare for your staff in a business, that's an allowable expense for tax purposes. The transport, the expenses that are directly associated with generating an income. Of course, there are those that are not allowable, but most of them, they are allowable. So it is good for people to know that, and for my fellow entrepreneurs to know that, so that they do not feel the unnecessary burden of tax when it is them who are not doing the right thing. Maybe they are not keeping the books for you even to be able to capture what are my expenses that I was supposed to deduct against my income. Don't wait until you are subjected to an audit. Do it yourself, like he said. It will be easier. You'll benefit from the allowable expenses.
Karano, there's this issue of, and I think many Kenyans are concerned about, it's about the yet to be published tax law amendment bill. What do you think would be the impact or the effect of that bill on Kenyans? You may not be on the political side of it, but just as the expert, the authority, what do you think would be the impact if at all it goes through for Kenyans?
And I can understand the concern that is there with the public.
Yeah.
But as a regulator, mine is to be impartial in my approach and administer these laws without fear or favor.
Okay.
And given that right now we are at the build stage of things, and at some point it shall be open to public participation, I would not want to prejudice the public one way or the other, because at the end of the day, these laws are meant for us as Kenyans. They are meant to better the lives of our Kenyans.
Okay.
And even the National Treasury has gone ahead and published in the dailies what they perceive will be the impact of these particular laws.
Okay.
But allow me at this point as a regulator to await the outcome of whether it becomes law or not, and at that point we can comment. Because at build stage I could be prejudicing, but once it becomes law, I'd be very happy to discuss the implications in full. Okay. Because at that point it's within our jurisdiction. But at this point it's in the jurisdiction of the National Assembly and possibly the National Treasury.
Yeah, I think that's a satisfactory answer for now. Liz, what do you think now? You can talk about it. What do you think will be the impact of this bill once it's passed on Kenyans, you as an entrepreneur, and all other SMEs out there?
As business people, maybe we would want to understand it, but we feel, and it's my feeling like it brings in a higher tax burden for us when we are already feeling like we are already so burdened by what is happening currently. So we don't know whether of course we approach it with a lot of
caution.
Yeah, caution, because it feels like more tax burden for the entrepreneur.
Okay, all right. Yeah, those are your sentiments, and I think you're speaking on behalf of many Kenyans, really, on behalf of many, many Kenyans. We had spoken about the digital platform. You know, I know everything has its pros and cons. Are there any, could you talk about the pros and cons of that digital space or platform that probably you could be having challenges with it, and even us out here, we could be, what are some of the pros and cons of the digital platform?
I think you're specifically speaking about EIMs, maybe.
Yes, EIMs, exactly.
And before I get to the EIMs, allow me to respond to our viewers and Liz, where you're feeling that the perception of these laws may not, or the proposed laws may not be favorable to you. That's why we have this opportunity to contribute to public discourse. And we always welcome public discourse. Like I said, I may not be able to comment on it at this point because it's still in bill. But that's what a bill is meant for public discourse. Discuss it. Say what you want, what you may not want. And government at that point, or the respective arms of government, will have opportunity to respond. And hopefully you come to a harmonized solution. EIMs.
Yes, EIMs.
As a majority of taxpayers normally raise. EIMs is a market solution developed by the Kenya Revenue Authority. This was in response to what our most compliant taxpayers were stating, that there could be imbalances in the market due to undue tax advantage. And this was just simply that when you go to Section 15 and 16 of the Income Tax Act, you have the allowable and disallowable deductions. And you find that you as a business owner, when you're declaring your full sales or your full income and declaring your full expense, somebody else could be under declaring their income and overstating their expense. And this happens. We're not saying it's with the majority of Kenyans, but it's with some. And as a regulator, we need to respond to that because we may not be able to correct all the market externalities, but where there's a market a due advantage due to tax, that one is our responsibility to respond to. So EIMs simply states that if an expense is not processed through the EIM system, you can't claim it as an expense. Because your motivation as a seller is to claim expenses. So me as your motivation as a buyer, sorry, as a buyer
yeah.
is to claim expenses. As a seller, I may not be inclined to declare all my sales. But where it is a purchase-driven market, you are likely to insist on an EIMs receipt because you do want to claim your full expense. And that's what EIMs does on a real-time basis. We first did it with our VAT traders, and we found that a majority of our large taxpayers are largely compliant because they embodied the EIMs system. And now we've rolled it out to all taxpayers that for you to claim an expense, it must be passed through EIMs. And this is to enable that if you have two shops selling the same product, and you found this, that two shops selling the same product right next to each other, paying the same rent, same electricity, but you're finding one person is selling this product at 100, the next one is selling it at 50. And at times it could just be somebody is not stating their full measure of tax. So with EIMs, this is one of the initiatives that have been deployed to cure that in the market. But we are always open to feedback. So that's what it does. It's a product, it's in the system, I mean it's in the market, and this is what it is meant to do.
Yeah. And with that, probably I would just want to get into, I can see quite some engagement online. Then there are 4 questions, but probably we will just pick a few. Is there a way to get a waiver or reduction on penalties for late tax payments? And the other one probably would be, what is the process of registration from VAT or withholding tax? So we can start probably with the waiver or reduction for late payments.
So with the Finance Act of 2023, we introduced what we call an amnesty program. And the amnesty program simply stated that should you pay all your principal taxes, we will waive 100% of interest and penalties of all taxes that were due up until December 31st, 2022. But the consequent implication of that is, at the expiry of the amnesty period, all taxes shall become due. When you go to the Income Tax Act, because the reason I keep mentioning this act, it's not that I want to be technical, is to give you an objective metric of measuring how KRA engages with you. Because we must have an objective way of engaging with us. Is in the definition of taxes, we say taxes are principal taxes, penalties, and interest. So when you have penalties and interest, that is valid tax. Because you did not meet your obligation in time, or for whatever reason something happened, you're not able to meet your obligation. So at the expiry of the amnesty period, and without a further extension, at this point all penalties, interest, and principal taxes are due. In that finance bill, I mean in the tax amendment bill, there is a proposal to extend the amnesty period. So should it become law, we can discuss it. But as of now, in this moment, there is no provision for waiver of penalties on interest. Penalties and interest are tax due. Yes.
Probably I'll work, now I'll come to you, Liz, you know, just to loop you into the conversation and probably just ask you, what are some of the changes you may want to see in the tax system in the country, given a chance, you know, you're at KRA and you're told, what are some of the changes you may want to see in the tax system?
There are quite a number, like when you was talking about EIMs and showing that the expenses that have not been passed through EIMs are not claimable. Sitting here as a business person, I was feeling like that is cutting me across. Because, like for example, this morning as I came here and I was in a hurry and I have to use an Uber, and I've paid, I've not gotten a receipt or an EIM. So what happens? Plus so many others. It's not everybody who we buy from is compliant. Yet as we are declaring all our incomes through EIMs. So I would want that to be fully harmonized, because I don't know what happens to us as a business at the end of the year without that, the fact that not all my expenses have EIMs receipt, yet all my incomes have gone through EIMs. So that's a change. That is something that I would want to see rolled out, because it amounts to more tax burden for me. Of course, efficiency in the tax administration would want to see that the taxes that we are paying, we are receiving equal service for it.
Okay.
We want to see it working
okay.
On the ground fully, so that even that feeling like our money is not doing what we wanted to do, and we are really financing our government.
Yes.
That feeling is no longer there when
okay.
we see that there's the efficiency of services.
Okay, I love that.
And that's major, especially for us entrepreneurs.
I'm so happy that you're speaking directly to the authority themselves. You know? I'm so glad that, you know, Karanu is here, and of course I know you respond to that. And because of time, we're just about to get to the end of the show. I'd like you to give us your closing remarks, you know, advice, whatever you may want to tell our viewers to, you know, or listeners about,
You know, when I was coming and I saw the title today, Offences and Penalties, I acknowledge that that's the general perception that taxpayers have. But I would like to invite the audience and our taxpayers to have a paradigm shift and actually see KRA for what it is, a trade facilitation partner. KRA exists to ensure that businesses thrive. It exists to ensure that businesses trade and that there are fair practices, at least where the field of taxation is concerned, that those practices are administered fairly. So when you think of KRA, we are here to be an enabling partner for the expansion of your trade. Because when you prosper as a business, then the nation prospers. Because as you contribute your taxes, then the improvement of these services that she's speaking about, because it's a constant conversation, it can happen. Because you want roads, you want electricity, you want education, you want healthcare. So do I, because I also pay taxes, and people rarely think that way. And the only way that we can improve and deliver better is if you pay your fair share. So I want to invite the audience and our taxpayers, come to KRA as your listening, responsive, enabling trade facilitation partner. Yes, thank you.
Asante, and for you, Liz?
For me, I would want to talk to my fellow entrepreneurs. I know this is a touchy subject for us, but as a finance person, I would want to encourage people that it is actually possible. In Swahili we say, mkono usioweza kukata ubusu. That hand that you cannot break, you just have to embrace it. And KRA is here with us. Taxes is, apart from debt, the other sure thing that we know of is taxes. And for us to be able to grow in our businesses, we must be in line. Even as we are demanding for efficiency of services, I think as entrepreneurs, we also need to do our part so that we are able also to advance in business, even biblically. We are told to pay to Caesar what is Caesar.
What belongs to
Caesar is here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we'll end it right there. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And that is, you know, it's a command from the Bible. So it's not about the KRA being, you know, taking from you, but it is a command. And we're coming to the end of this show. But before that, I'd just like to appreciate our partners who've enabled us to be on air this morning and, you know, just inform you, educate you on this, such an issue, such a topic. So we'd want to really thank them for holding our hand and working with us. And if you want to be part of this community, please just send your name partner, send the name partner on SMS number 20316 or WhatsApp 0786316316. Send the word partner. And if you want to just bless this course, you may, whatever God blesses you with, you may just send it to our pay bill number 316316, and the account number will be your telephone number. Thank you so much for joining us today, and please join me again tomorrow on Relationship Clinic, where we'll be discussing about infertility and relationship. Until then, God bless you and have an amazing day.